Oh my god. Everyone, this is not a drill. I've been losing my mind over the last 2 hours, so I'm sorry if my editing and words are all over the place. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's demo video showcase has official footage, and some media outlets and content creators have gained access to it and have been given the opportunity to upload it. I unfortunately was not part of this, so my footage is being collected from various other channels on YouTube. I'll be linking below anyone's video that I used. Please check them out as they go through this stuff extensively. But for the majority of the info and depth of gameplay, you can see this on Schrodinger's Baby Seal's YouTube channel. Subscribe to his channel because he has some amazing footage that you guys are not going to want to miss. I'm going to lose my mind, guys. Synergy Materia is back, and it retains the functions added into Integrate, where it costs no ATB or MP to use at all. And Cloud has it equipped right now with Fire. So anytime Sephiroth is using an ability, Cloud will launch a fire attack for free to follow it. This is my absolute favorite thing from Final Fantasy VII Remake. So to see that it's being confirmed to being back and functioning the same exact way, that absolutely blows my mind. I'm going to be detailing and talking about the most important things that I noticed and jotted down, but we will be doing a breakdown of the footage in super close detail much later on. But for now, please check out Schrodinger's Baby Seal's channel for all of that. Now, speaking of Sephiroth, let's answer the biggest question everyone has been asking. Yes, Sephiroth is fully playable in the Nibelheim flashback. I cannot believe we could actually say that. He was not playable in the original game, and instead, he selected his own moves, and you could not control him at all. But you could actually control him and select his moves at your own will. This is friggin' fantastic, as it is the first time outside of Dissidia where we can really control the iconic villain and get actual gameplay from him. The in-game menu is something that I noticed almost immediately. It received like a massive overhaul. Instead of a portrait of our characters, we're greeted with a Final Fantasy 15 style menu with 3D renders of the characters posing idly. In Rebirth, we can't change Sephiroth's equipment. Hell, we can't change anyone's equipment. It looks like it's pretty much hardlocked for the demo, which is fine. But we can customize everybody's battle command shortcuts. Sephiroth only has 2 abilities as of right now, Zanshin and Hell's Gate, it seems. And the 3D renders in the menu and stuff looks really cool. I can't help but wonder if this does affect like processing power. Of course, like having the portraits and whatnot, the menu will be more swifter to go through like it was in Remake, but who knows, maybe it's more optimized and will function just fine in PS5 and I'm just worried over nothing. While reading over the battle shortcuts too, you can see some of these moves actually have different functions when you're using them in the air, which can only mean that they've implemented new aerial combat systems, which is greatly needed. As Yuffie's combat did fix it, we currently don't seem to have Yuffie in the party, so it's really nice to be able to use others, even like the same attacks, like Triple Slash have different effects in the air. And you can have them deal massive game-changing damage as well. I really love this, man. I am losing my mind. Guys, please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything. We have lots more to talk about, but I need everyone to join in on the fun. As we are one of the biggest Final Fantasy VII channels and cover Remake extensively, I'm aiming to do exactly that with Rebirth and going even further beyond. So let's raise that 11% even higher and hit that notification bell. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video. One of the most mind-blowing details, are you guys ready for this, by the way? We can make custom parties before every battle. In the demo for Junon, they are limited to preset combinations, but it says that in the full game, we can freely customize as we wish. And this is further shown by looking at other people's gameplay footage on YouTube. You can see some of them use Barret in the bottoms well fight, while others use Aerith in the bottoms well fight. And both cutscenes remained exactly the same. This is a huge W for me because I was worried that we would lose the party's like freedom like we had in the original game. But they're hitting everything right on the head perfectly. We're going to be talking more in detail about Junon after, of course, because there is a lot, but I do want to jump back into Nibelheim. But one quick thing, it does say that switching parties or choosing your custom party members has to be done before you get into a battle, so that I hope or wonder if it changes later on, like later on in the game, will you be able to actively just call people in middle of battle? Because I mean, they're standing there on the battlefield, they should be able to, right? Like at least like function in the same way that Final Fantasy X does. Maybe that's not available in the demo and that will be something later on, but fingers crossed. I'm really looking forward to that because that would be a huge game changer if you could just swap characters in and out on the fly like that. As you approach enemies, there's actually a new aggro bar that appears, and it says First Strike, which is interesting because there was a First Strike materia, but what that basically did before was give us a ATB or 2 ATB sometimes to basically start off the attacking first. And it seems that the closer you get or the longer the enemies look at you, the battle will engage quicker and give you the opportunity to hit the enemies first, essentially getting you that first hit on them preemptively. And here we go, fighting as Sephiroth. Pressing square, he does quick slashes with Masamune, and it looks friggin' fantastic. Or you can hold it down to unleash a ranged attack. Landing a certain amount of attacks with square allows you to combo with triangle in and out, depending on whether you're in the air or on the ground. You can use his sword piercing move or sword dance move, which does help you fill up your limit break bar, it says. Pressing R1 puts Sephiroth in a retaliation stance, and while in that, you can actually time square button attacks to parry incoming attacks that might as well hit you. An active defensive stance, essentially, and a parry activator. His gameplay is very polished so far, it seems, and it kind of makes me wonder if this is actually done on purpose, because maybe we get a chance to play as him again later on. I mean, they went into a lot of work to just play as him in this small section, right? Who knows? Maybe there's something new in the future, right? Cloud's hold down square Buster Sword AoE move functions very different this time around. It seems that this combo string can actually launch enemies as well, but holding down square does the usual AoE circle slash around him. But at the end, it pulls all nearby enemies towards Cloud. Everybody, like, in front, left, right, behind him, wherever. And this allows teammates to unleash heavy attacks on them. It basically does a huge crowd control effect. Sephiroth does make quick work here, and pressing triangle on Sephiroth allows him to charge up an aura, it says. I can't wait to see exactly what that means, if we eventually get our hands on this demo and get to really experiment and try things out. Fingers crossed, but I don't think that'll happen until we get closer to the launch date. While we can't jump in or outside of combat with a dedicated button, we can use the circle button to interact with terrain, it says, which does allow us to jump up and down cliff sides, edges of paths. This is going to be great in the open world, whether you're on chocobos or just roaming around on foot. Sephiroth can actually activate synergy skills with Cloud right now, and it shows a portrait on who this particular skill is usable with. Dual Blade Dance is a quick strike flurry, showing Sephiroth and Cloud just decimate and tossing enemies around. I don't see this move using any ATB, and judging from the gameplay trailers, we did have those ATB vertical charges, and I believe it would use those, but they don't seem to be present in the Nibelheim flashback at least. And yo, by the way, you can see Tifa running around, Sephiroth following the party. This just feels unreal. I feel like a kid again watching all of this. We have the yellow climbable stones, similar to God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, many games that do platform jumping and whatnot these days in third person style, which the dev team have openly stated those games mentioned prior were their inspiration, and they'll be taking a lot of notes for that in the next title. And shockingly enough, Mount Nibel appears to be next to a large body of water on the edge of a continent. That's very new, because previously it was very much in the middle of the land. There is water around it, but not this close. But do remember, they did say the geography of certain things and locations will be changing. So that is very small for Nibelheim, but not necessarily a big deal. I just thought it was really cool. And also, Magnify Materia makes a return, and at its highest level, it only reduces the potency of the paired magic by 25%. I do wonder if in Rebirth, will Mastering Materia create a duplicate Reborn Materia? That would be really nice. I mean, the OG game had that. Maybe there might be something that they introduce in the third one, I don't know. And while holding down R1 and blocking, the synergy menu will come up on the bottom left. And it seems that Cloud's menu has this move called Void Shatter and Counterfire. Void Shatter can be charged up and deals a massive blow, showing Sephiroth imbuing Cloud's sword with magic, purple magic, and putting enemies in a crazy pressured state because it hits like a truck. I'm trying hard to not talk about every single detail, but guys, it's ridiculous. You have no idea how long. I mean, you guys know how long you've been waiting for this, but for me, I think about this game every day. So to finally be able to be watching it with my eyes, I'm lost right now. I'm lost, but I feel at home. Okay, I'm just gonna get back into it. Sorry. Benches also make a return to restore HP and MP. Sephiroth is also just really perfect in this flashback. He's very friendly, cracks jokes every now and then, and Materia Keeper fights, and even before that too. And by the way, the Materia Keeper is now called Materia Guardian. And Sephiroth tells Cloud he thinks that the Materia Keeper thinks that they're after Materia, and Cloud replies that someone should tell it that we are not. And Sephiroth actually laughs and he says, be my guest. I really love this dynamic already. Sephiroth like continues to keep on giving tips to Cloud in battle, and he's telling him to switch up your attacks more. You gotta defend more. Just everything is so goddamn perfect. He's like in full teacher mode, like being a mentor. That's so badass. Materia Guardian can grab Cloud, which does take him out of the fight. Then you have to switch to Sephiroth to build up damage, and he also pokes fun at Cloud for getting captured as well. And when you do enough damage, it'll actually free Cloud from its grip. I noticed while Sephiroth is also charging up a magic attack, he can't be interrupted, which is huge because in Remake you could. I wonder if this is a mechanic only for Sephiroth to show his strength between us, or is this something that's possible for Cloud and the rest of the party? I don't recall seeing him do that in this footage. I don't really think he used too much magic at least, or got hit while using it, but I'll be sure to notate that if I notice it in the future. Frustratingly enough, the damage negator for cutscenes and battles for bosses, it seems to be making a return. I hope it's designed where after the cutscene, the applied damage or the damage that was missed out on gets calculated rather than it just being lost and losing that ATB and wasting the attack. I mean, dude, just take a look at this battle transition for Cloud and Sephiroth. Everything between their banter, oh god. I kind of regret watching this now because now I'm reminded that February is 5 months away still. And god, that feels like quite a long time, even though 3 months just flew us by. But like seeing this, oh god, I gotta stop looking at this clock. Sephiroth's full combo animation, by the way, is something really special to witness in Rebirth. It's gonna be so fantastic. I probably might replay this like mission a bunch of times just to get like some more details on like Sephiroth in combat. And he also does the puppy line. God, if you know, you know. Or we're not gonna talk too much about that. But man, you guys know. Sephiroth's limit break is Octaslash, but now he and Cloud gain access to synergy abilities, and you guys can see the actually now look on the bottom right, the charges actually appear underneath the ATB bar now, like ATB synergies. And Cloud and Sephiroth have access to an attack called Double Helix, which the Square Enix blog actually notated for us, and it looks like the character combos like with this move, it'll create like a cutscene effect for them. And this is actually what we saw in the recent trailer, a little slow motion herbal essence like footage of Cloud and Sephiroth that looked hilarious. But it seems like that's actually going to be a thing with synergy abilities. So I can't wait to see like what other team compositions and what other animations they'll have in the middle of them, right? Because I think so far all we've seen is like Sephiroth's with Cloud in the flashback. Cloud and Sephiroth beat the Guardian, and Sephiroth is basically just teaching him the entire time. Sephiroth allows Cloud to kill the Guardian, and then the demo for Nibelheim ends right here as soon as like Tifa and the infantry guard just come back into the scene with them. Now, there's just so much to really talk about and enjoy there, and man, I'm so excited. If you guys have any questions or anything you notice, please comment them right now. I'm just gonna jump into the Junon portion. The Junon portion does have a lot of stuff to talk about. For one thing, it starts as Cloud and the party leave the Mithril Mines, and I noticed like Yuffie is not in the party at this point, or neither does she show up in this gameplay. Now, typically in the original game, you can get Yuffie after the mines via like the forest on the way to Junon. However, that doesn't seem to be in the game, at least right now. A giant condor in the beginning of this cutscene snatches a reunion clone, and Barrett hilariously pulls he ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3. He basically says he ain't coming back. I love this so much. As you can tell, I'm like super giddy over this. I'm shaking watching this. So this portion of the demo is so people can actually explore the open like world area of like Junon and get to check out more of what the game has to offer, from like crafting, materials, and exploration. So there's actually like chocobos present for us to be able to ride on, and you can actually see Junon and the High Wind in the distance. And in the menu, we actually have this thing called the item transmuter, which is basically the crafting. You can craft like potions, looks like phoenix drafts, cushions as well. Cushions are for certain MP benches. I think they'll show it to us in a little bit. But you can customize available aspects of the entire party, which does consist of like Cloud, Red, Aerith, Tifa, and Barrett. Right now you can call your chocobo to you and navigate the world with it, and even like obtain materials to treasure from the chocobo while riding it, so you don't have to actually get off of it. And chocobos can smell treasure, further leading you towards more, and you can dig like the Final Fantasy IX mechanic. We actually get a Fort Condor reference right here as soon as it starts, actually, kind of like with Tifa in Red 13. Tifa asks, where the hell do you think that giant bird came from? And Red is like, there's a story about a great condor set to roost on an island's abandoned reactor. So Fort Condor is apparently on an island now away from the mainland, and is no longer any way to reach that island, at least none that he is currently aware of. So it may still be present in the game at some point, but as of right now, we technically skip it because they've moved it. But you guys remember before, after you leave the Mithril Mines, you're actually able to access Fort Condor, so that's actually pretty huge. I didn't think that they would do that. And close by, we see a little chocobo chick calling out to us, and if you follow it, you can actually follow it to a like broken chocobo stop, and you could fix it. You can fix the stop up and use it to fast travel between like the map too. And then you can pet the chocobo. I see you, Ghost of Tsushima. I see you. And Ghost of Tsushima, you can do this with the foxes and the shrines. Now listen to me when I say this. Aerith was without a doubt the biggest damage dealer in Remake, and it seems that in Rebirth they want to quadruple down on that. Hear this out. Aerith can press square to unleash magic attacks that hit multiple targets, which is typical. These are her ranged attacks. But now instead of holding triangle, she can hold down square to fully charge up a Tempest skill. And when this actually is let go and strikes an enemy while it's fully charged, apparently she's going to summon a fleeting familiar for free, which will assist you in combat. Not only that, if you have multiple arcane wards on the ground, Aerith can press triangle to instantly warp between the two like a straight up battle mage. I mean, holy shit. The fleeting familiar was an ability in Remake that was very good, but I opted to not use it that much because it did get in the way and use ATB. But basically what it does is it summons a fairy that will launch big attacks based off of what attacks Aerith uses. And if we have synergy paired to Aerith, she will be launching magic attacks constantly. And so will the fleeting familiar. So now with Tempest fully charged, bringing this out, we'll basically have familiars constantly all over the stage all the time in battle, and you can see where this is going. Aerith did not change in any negative way, it's all positive. Hell, everyone is a big positive so far. Unfortunately, we don't get to see a familiar just yet in gameplay, not that I noticed, but I'm keeping my eyes peeled just in case if we see one. Also, a fun combat tidbit. Barret, if he's not in the party, will provide assisting damage from range, which is awesome. We saw a little bit of this in the Japanese Summer Games Fest trailer, but this is just really cool to see. And I do wonder if Tifa will as well, like if enemies are close enough to her. Speaking of Tifa, her kit functions exactly the same, where her Unbridled Strength can be used to buff her attack combos, and this goes up to like 3 times now apparently. And Whirling Uppercut will continue to raise enemies like stagger, but I haven't seen parry materia yet, so I want to see if it's possible with Tifa to continue to cancel Whirling Uppercut with parry materia, because that was just like a game-breaking thing with her, and if they left that in the game, I would die tears of joy. We also got a small look at the map and like how large it can be. This area has not been fully discovered yet, but like look at all the details. Look at imagine how large this area actually is when we uncover the entire map, since we've seen the footage through it, but looking at the rest of the map, I can only wonder, man, this feels like this game is going to be a lot deeper than we ever could have anticipated or even imagined. And we could even fast travel to a previous chocobo stop, and it took about 3-4 seconds for it to do that. I wonder if on release what that'll be like. I mean, it's not fully optimized as this is a demo build, of course. And we notice the player, whoever's playing this, they got stuck on a couple of posts with the chocobo. Now, I notice that when you use a synergy ability, 2 parties involved gain a buff from using it. It actually tells you what that buff is on the ability before you use it. So for Red 13, his 2 buffs from either Cloud or Aerith, after using Savage Assault or Planetary Roar, both teammates will gain like a raise to their limit break, which as of right now is really damn good. Because it seems like, just like in Remake, the limit break bar does not carry over, unfortunately, between fights. So we can use teammates to continue to boost limit breaks quickly and use them a lot more in battle, because I personally think that should be changed. I think that limit breaks should be retained like they were in the original game, the original FF7 I mean, where you can go between battle and keep the limit break gauge exactly the same. That should be a thing where we can like save up that damage, but I understand why they don't want us to, but it's nice to see that some abilities do refill the limit breaks a lot quicker. Remember in the trailer we saw Aerith, Sephiroth, Cat Shit, and Cloud when they use their abilities, like the synergy abilities, they gain like infinite MP. So there seems to be all sorts of different kinds of buffs we can see. Maybe eventually like there'll be more, but as of right now, there's one that'll raise the limit breaks and there's one that'll give them infinite MP. As Red 13 blocks incoming damage, it will fill up his vengeance gauge. And it seems like based off of the previous stuff that we read, that also applies to anything defensive wise. If Red does anything defensive wise, he will raise his vengeance gauge. And then when he presses the triangle button, he can enter vengeance mode, which raises his attack power and dodge speed. And it can be activated at any single time. It doesn't need to be like the gauge doesn't have to be filled out. It seems like it also lasts longer the more full it is, of course. But in general, you can just use it at your own free will. And Red Stardust Ray continues to really just pressure the hell out of enemies. I remember he was using this a lot in the Arsenal fights in Remake and various other moments of the game. So it's really cool to see that's part of his like regular kit and not a limit break. In combat, there's a Chadley-like female voice, which kind of like resembles Jessie or Erica Lindbeck to me. Her name is Mai, and she gives like battle tips and information, it seems, on various enemies you're coming across, or is probably only available during like hunts, it seems, because this is like an enemy like hunt a vibe I'm guessing right here. They're called World Intel Challenges, which we will be knocking those out before we go on and do like main objectives. And as you continue to move around, you can unlock more hidden areas of the map, which blows my mind. We went down a lower path behind the Mithril Mines. So we came out of the Mithril Mines, we went down to the left, turned around, walking back towards the direction we came, and it took us down a completely different path. And it seems to continue quite a ways away. I wish we could see more of where that goes, but I guess we'll have to wait for when either the demo drops or when the game releases. As we get closer to Junon, Shinra Infantry actually like block the path, not allowing us to go to the upper Junon area right away. But as we make our way down to lower Junon, we're actually greeted by the mayor of Under Junon called Rhonda. And she immediately picks up that Barrett and Tifa are from Avalanche with a bounty on their head for 100,000 each. Her and Barrett go back and forth, and I really like this interaction. Barrett's pretty smooth right here. And then she notices Aerith, who's worth 500,000 alone. And Aerith is hilarious right here. She's so excited to hear how much she is worth. Never change, Aerith, please, never change. But Rhonda tells them that she's going to let them slide and won't turn them in. As we make our way into Junon, Priscilla immediately calls for our help to follow her to stop a monster from attacking someone. And lo and behold, when we reach to the bottom of lower Junon where the water is, it's none other than Yuffie. She's being bothered and attacked by Bottomswell, a boss that harasses Priscilla in the original game. And look, Mr. Dolphin is here to help us out too. Priscilla and Yuffie seem to know each other and are acquainted, as they do know each other's names. And after Mr. Dolphin tosses Yuffie towards us, Barrett and the party jump in to fight Bottomswell. And this just gets my blood pumping. Bottomswell is now called Terror of the Deep because that name, I mean, Bottomswell. Yeah. Aerith has an attack called Radiance Ward, which I noticed right here, and she can cast abilities on it and not be interrupted by enemies. That's great. That's probably like the effect that Sephiroth had before, but he didn't have any wards, so it seems like it was integrated into Sephiroth to not get interrupted. The boss also puts her in a bubble like in the OG game, and instead of needing lightning materia to break it, we can actually break it with physical attacks and any type of magic, really. The boss hovers over the stage far enough for Red and Cloud to be able to hit it, which is very convenient, and when it staggers, it falls completely onto the deck and flops like a fish. Magikarp head ass. By the way, shoutouts to Red for using Comet Magic here. I just caught that. This boss fight is pretty straightforward, and it does try to run away, but Mr. Dolphin launches Cloud towards it for the kill. And there we go. What a way to end this presentation, man. I'm at a complete loss for words. I feel like I'm losing my voice a little bit. I don't know if it sounds different to you guys, but I mean, not only did they keep all the things that I wanted them to keep, at least so far from what I've seen, but there's even more additions to the game in the best ways possible. I had no idea that they were going to aim to do all of this with Rebirth. I never imagined this game being an open world game with tons of stuff to do. It's just really exciting, really exhilarating, just seeing the good work that they've been able to accomplish so far. We've only seen Nibelheim and Junon so far, but man, this is way more than I needed, and I'm super grateful for it. Now, I know I might have missed some things, and I didn't want to do a complete full breakdown, but you guys can catch more details over at Schrodinger's Baby Seal's YouTube channel. I linked it below in the description and also pinned in the comments too, because that's where I got most of my footage from. Please go check that out, as he has way more in-depth coverage. I need to go rewatch this like 100 more times. If I missed something of interest, please comment below. This Friday, by the way, we have the TGS Showcase demo, which most likely will be where we will see this demo here, hopefully with more details, I pray. And we'll be streaming it here live on the channel. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy videos are on the way and you do not want to miss them. My name is BltzZ and thanks for watching.